All right, hello everyone. Uh, so I'm back. It's Wednesday today. What is the date today? Today's the 30th, so August 30th, 2017, and it is still a nice sunny day here in Vancouver, British Columbia. So can I just check, please, if you guys can hear me clearly or not? Can somebody just in the chat say yes, or we can't hear you? So just so that I know everything is okay. So I see a couple of people in the chat. Not a lot of people in the chat today, which is so I wanted to see that because as you guys know, so this is my new YouTube channel. So starting from this stream, right? This is the first stream that that's going to be on my channel. Patricia says it's okay. Jacqueline, hi Jacqueline, welcome to the class. Thank you for coming. All right, awesome. So I know that you guys can hear me. That is great. All right, so welcome to the class. Nice. Abu Ziad says yes. All right, so great. I think everybody can hear me here, and some people are starting to trickle in now, which is good. I was worried that because I changed the channel, a lot of people would have been confused, or maybe they might not have found the new channel. But I can see that some of you are starting to show up now. So. First things first, so hello and welcome to my class. My name is Karim. For the people who are here today for the first time and don't know me, I'm a teacher at Canadian College of English Language here in Vancouver, Canada. And I've been at the school now for about just over 5 years. So I've been using Smrt for quite some time now. I teach generally English as a second language, so I teach most of the levels for that. And I'm currently also teaching the English business classes at CCEL. So yeah, so hello and welcome everybody. Rosa, hey Rosa, welcome to the class. August, hi. So yeah, so that's a little bit about me. And besides my channel, for those of you also who don't know, I have another channel on YouTube, and it's completely not related to English. So it's a cooking channel. If you like food, or you like cooking, or watching food, or watch people cook, you can check me out there. And the link for my channel is in the description below. So it's called Food AF. And you can go and check me out over there. I do, however, also talk in English in the cooking channel, so you can watch it to practice your listening, sort of in a more relaxed day-to-day language kind of setting, right? Miriam, hi from Algeria. Hi, Miriam. Very nice to have you with us today. Thank you very much for showing up. What else? So yeah, so I just wanted to share with you guys the new channel, right? So it's not really new, as in I'm separate from Smrt now or anything. It's still Smrt. I'm part of Smrt. It's just that Smrt are dividing channels for their teachers, right? So everybody has his own sort of place, so you can easily find all the things for that person over there. So this is my channel on Smrt. It's called Smrt English with Karim. So yeah, so please subscribe to me over there and come and join my tribe. Which brings me to the next point. I'm actually, I'm very humbled, and I'm very thankful for you guys. This channel has been up for less than a week, and I already have about 83 subscribers, which is great. That's I'm really thankful to you guys for that. So thanks a lot. But we have a mission, so I want you guys to help me out with something here. You see Sean's face down here? Yeah, everybody knows Sean, right? So. What a, oh, you guys can't see what I'm talking about. Hold on, so sorry about that. Let me do this. All right, there we go. So this is what I'm talking about, right? So this is my new channel, Smrt English with Karim. And as you can see, I have about 83 subscribers. So thank you guys very much. But Sean. So Sean has 189 subscribers. And I want you guys to help me completely annihilate Sean's subscriber number, right? So I want to beat Sean's subscriber number, and this is all just in good fun, right? So I like to compete with Sean in some things, and I told him that I'm going to get more subscribers than he is. So I'm depending on you guys to help me achieve that, right? So Sean has 189 subscribers, which is almost about 100 more than we do. So let's beat Sean, please. So yeah, so you can start watching my channel here. All my English videos are going to be at the bottom under the Karim Smrt Live playlist. And I've started doing this for a week now, and I've been getting some very good feedback from you guys. You seem to like it. I started filming very, very short videos just of me doing things in Vancouver, right? So it's called Vancouver Out and About. So you guys can sort of check these videos out if you're interested. They're just very short videos, you know. Whenever I go somewhere or do something in Vancouver, I just take a small 30-second video, 1-minute video, just sort of to share with you guys the city and how things are here. Ooh, a lot of people are starting to show up now. Patricia, hi Patricia, Rosa, Adam, Julian, hey Julian, nice to meet you. August, awesome. Everybody's finally starting to show. Nice. All right. So before I start the class this week, let's just talk about the movie quote of the week from last week. So last week we had a movie quote from a movie, and the quote was, "Then we will fight in the shade." And a lot of you guys actually answered correctly, right? So this was a quote from the movie 300, right? This movie. So if you guys haven't seen that movie, you should check it out. It's pretty interesting movie. So it talks about, you know, the very old historical event, right, where there was this war between 300 Spartans and the Persian army. The movie is not the most accurate historically, of course, but it's a very cool action style movie, right? So to everybody who got the correct answer, well done, you guys. So very nice. And at the end of today's lesson, I am going to give you guys a new quote from a new movie. So stick around for that. But thank you guys for participating. Little more people. Hello, Karim. Hi, everyone. Very nice to have you guys here. What's the class topic? Well, this week we are actually going to do a little bit of vocabulary, right? So we're doing forces of nature vocabulary, right? So forces of nature and things that you might do in nature, right? So a little bit of vocabulary this week. I did 3 grammar classes for the past 3 classes, so I thought I'd change things up a bit and do some vocabulary. All right. So yeah, so that's it. So welcome to the new channel. Please, like I said, I want to beat Sean's subscriber number, right? I don't really care about the subscriber number that much. I just want to beat Sean. Okay, so so you guys, please help me do that. Awesome. Okay, and let's start. Where are we? All right, so vocabulary this week, and we are doing, like I told you guys, it's called forces of nature, right? So vocabulary that is related to forces of nature or things that we do outside in nature, right? So this is Unit 3 from Smrt English 120. My future self came. Julian is Julian is saying my future self came and fixed the blues as I left. He's talking about last week's class because my face was a little bit blue, and Julian, who works here, right, had to come into the stream to sort of fix it for a bit. But yeah, all right. So let's get back to it. So let's just begin then, shall we? Okay. So vocabulary, Unit 3, Lesson 3.1. All right, so let's begin. Our first word for today is appear. Appear. So as you can see from, as you guys can see from the picture here, it says rain clouds appeared in the sky in the afternoon. Rain clouds appeared in the sky in the afternoon. So what does appear mean, right? So appear actually has a few different meanings depending on the context that you're using it in. But the context, for the context that we are talking about in the picture here, right? So for today's reasons, the meaning that we're looking for is when something starts to be seen, right? So something starts to be seen, right? So you're saying rain clouds appeared in the sky in the afternoon. So before the afternoon, there were no rain clouds in the sky, but during the afternoon or sometime in the afternoon, they started to be seen, right? So they appeared, right? They appeared in the sky. Julian is asking, is Sean back from holiday? Yes, Sean is back from holiday, and I actually took a video with Sean, so to prove it, and I'll upload the video sometime today so you guys can see it. But yes, Sean is back. He's just he's occupied with a lot of things at the moment. Okay, when something starts to be seen, yes. So Julian has that, right? So appear. Rain clouds appeared in the sky in the afternoon. Next word that we have today is backpack. So backpack. I keep my computer in my backpack. So if we look at the picture that's in front of us here, so you can see this guy, he's sitting down on a bench. He has his laptop, and beside him, this dark sort of, I don't know what color that is. It's like a dark navy blue. This is a backpack, right? So that is what a backpack is. So a backpack is a pack, right? That means some sort of container where you put something in, right? But usually made out of cloth or leather. And we call it a backpack because we carry it on our backs, right? So it's a backpack. Paolo, welcome to the class, Paolo. Very nice to see you. Thank you for coming. All right, so backpack, right? Let's see what the next word is today. My buttons are not working. There we go. Blizzard. Next word is a blizzard. Now, if you have Dairy Queen in your city or your country where you are, a blizzard is a very delicious dessert, but that's not, of course, what we're talking about today. So the blizzard closed the schools. So looking at this picture, it's not very clear really, right? So what is a blizzard, right? So as you can see, this guy, he's wearing a jacket, he's wearing a beanie or a toque, as we say in Canada, and he has his umbrella. It's not really helping him out much. And you can see that there is a lot of snow everywhere in the air, right? So snow is not just on the floor, it's everywhere in the air. And a blizzard very simply means a snowstorm that has extreme high winds, right? So it's not just when it's snowing, but it's a snowstorm, right? A very hard or very extreme snowstorm. So it makes it hard to see when you're walking. It makes it hard and dangerous to drive. So that's why it says here, the blizzard closed the school. Blizzard is old air with snow. Old air. So Julian is saying blizzard is old air with snow. I don't know if you mistyped old or did you mean old air, because I don't know what old air means. But yes, a blizzard is definitely a very extreme, very high wind snowstorm. Oh, cold air. Sorry, cold air. He said that's what he meant. All right. So a blizzard is cold air with snow. Well, yes, but it's not just the cold air, right? It needs to be high wind, right? So there has to be a lot of wind. If it's just snowing, then it's just snowing, right? But a blizzard means it's snowing and there's very extreme winds. Okay, next word that we have today is bomb. A bomb. And please notice the way that I'm saying the word. If you can hear me well, I'm not mentioning or I'm not pronouncing the last B in the word, right? So the last B here is not audible. Audible means something that you can hear, right? So bomb, right? If you notice, the M is sort of where the sound dies out, right? So luckily, nobody was near when the bomb went off, right? Bomb, right? There's no B at the end. I don't make a B sound at the end of this word. Yeah, so bomb. Luckily, nobody was near when the bomb went off. Hopefully, nobody is near any bomb when it goes off, and hopefully no bombs ever have to go off. But yeah, bomb. Okay, next word we have is cause. Cause, right? So cause, same spelling, right, as the from the word because, right? So because. The cause of the injury was strange. The cause of the injury was strange. So what is the cause here? Julian is saying the last B is quiet. Yes, you're right, Julian, but we don't say quiet, we say silent, right? We say, when we're talking about letters that we don't pronounce, we say silent letters, right? Not quiet. But yes, you are right. I definitely know what you meant by that. So cause very simply means the person or the thing that makes something happen, right? So the reason, very simply, right? So the cause of the injury was strange. The reason, right, or the thing that made this injury happen was strange. The cause of the injury was strange. Paul, Paul is saying too much typing. I'm not, I haven't typed any. Oh, are you talking about the chat? Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, there's a little bit of typing going on in the chat at the moment. We don't have a moderator, unfortunately, today because Rosa couldn't make it to class today. Okay, next word that we have is chase, to chase. So it's not very clear if you look at this picture what chase means, right? It's not really helping much. But let's look at the sentence and see what it is. So, some people enjoy chasing storms. Some people enjoy chasing storms. I think they are crazy. So, chasing, right? So, to chase something very simply means to run after something or to follow something with the intention or because you want to catch it, right? So, for example, when you throw a ball, dogs chase the ball, right? Why? Because they want to catch it, right? So that is what chasing is. When you chase something, that means you run after it or you walk after it because you want to catch it. Like a police chase. Yes, exactly, right? Like a police chase, right? So police chase criminals because they want to catch them, and that's what it means. Very good. Next word that we have is is to choke. Okay. Choke. So what is to choke? So choke in our scenario here, or for our lesson today, to choke very simply means when you can't breathe comfortably or at all because something is blocking your wind, right, or the air that goes into your lungs, right? So that's why the picture here, this person is eating a hamburger and you're saying don't eat too fast, you will choke on your food. You know how sometimes when food gets stuck here and you can't breathe, or sometimes it happens when you're taking a drink and you swallow wrong or in a wrong way and then you sort of can't breathe very well. That's choking, right? Now, choke can also be something that you do to somebody, right? So in a lot of movies where people kill other people, sometimes they choke them to death. So to choke someone to death is, when you hold somebody from the neck, right? So when you hold someone from the neck here and you choke them, right? You try to make them stop breathing. Rosa is asking a good question. So Rosa is saying, what's the difference between chase and follow? To follow just very simply means that I am going after someone. I don't necessarily want to catch them, right? So I might follow somebody because I want to know where they're going, or I might follow somebody to study what they're doing or something like that. And maybe I never have to sort of have any conversation with them, right? Or meet them or catch them or anything like that. But to chase is you want to catch that person, right? You're chasing something or someone to catch it. And that's basically the difference. Choke is when you can't breathe because something is blocking your inner lung, Julian. Yes, right, but I wouldn't say it's blocking your inner lung, right? Because I don't know what the inner lung is, but inner makes it feel like something inside here, right? And that's not very accurate. Choking is when something blocks your windpipe, right? So this little bit here, right? That's choking. Rosa and Julian saying like to suffocate. Yeah, similar to that. Rosa says she gets it. Excellent. Okay, next word. By the way, if you ever choke, a very good tip is to don't try to breathe from your mouth. Calm down and take a deep breath from your nose, and you will find that you can always breathe, right? The problem with choking is people panic and they quickly start trying to breathe, and they try to do that from their mouth, and it never works, right? So next time you choke, make sure to close your mouth, take a breath from your nose, and I promise that you will be able to breathe. Storm chasers, who risks their lives following tornadoes. Yes, exactly. Storm chasers are people that follow tornadoes and try to, yeah, just very dangerous thing. All right, next word is climb. So again, very similar to the word bomb, right? The last B is silent, right? We don't really pronounce, we don't say climb, right? We say climb. And if you notice, the sounds die at the end of the M, right? So climb. Let's climb the mountain this weekend. Let's climb the mountain this weekend. And climb very, very simply means when you try to go up something, right? You climb it. So you can climb ladders, you can climb stairs, you can climb mountains. There are even some expressions that we use, like climb into bed or something like that, right? Yeah, and that's it. That's what climb means. Julian says to climb something like a wall or a ladder. Yes, perfect. All right, next word. What do we have? Coast. That looks like a very pretty coast, actually. I wonder where that is. So, coast. What is the coast or a coast? So it says here, in the future, I want to live somewhere on the coast. In the future, I want to live somewhere on the coast. And coast very simply means land that is beside, near the sea or the ocean, right? So that's it. So this area is the coast, right? So any land that's next to a sea or an ocean is called a coast. And sometimes we can even use it to describe a type of city, right? So you can say that this is a coastal city, right? Coastal, of course, meaning an adjective now, right? So it's a coastal city. That means it's a city that lies, or it's a city that has a coast. The coast of America. Yes, Patricia says the seaside. Yeah, I would say that's a good way to describe it. But most people would not use seaside and coast interchangeably. Most people would, yeah. So if they want to mean that the city lies next, right, to a coast, they would say coast. Seaside is not really, it's not really used that way. We don't, like, for example, we don't say this is, we don't say that this is a seaside city, right? That's a very unusual or very uncommon thing to say. Even though that you are right? Like yes, to describe what a coast is, you can say seaside, right? But it's not the way that people use it to describe cities. Coast of America. Julian is saying, do you know if Sean is teaching this Friday? I honestly have no idea, Julian. He could, but I am not sure, right? So I really don't know. All right, next word. Damage. To damage something. So damage can be a noun, and it also can be a verb, right? So, for example, the damage from the storm was too much. The damage from the storm was too much. So, looking at this picture, what is the damage? The damage from the storm is too much. So, very simply, damage is when some kind of physical harm, right? So, something physical, right, happens to something that makes it less attractive, or it makes it less useful, or it makes it lose value, right? So if you can see in this picture here, right, you see this part of the house, how it's been broken, right? So this broken part, this is the damaged part, right? So that's what damage is. Damage is when some physical harm happens to something, right? Damage. So, so for example, my phone is damaged because I have about 3 cracks on my screen on my phone, and I have almost the same thing at the back, right? So my phone is pretty damaged. So that's what the word damage means. Damage, injury, or an object that falls on something or someone. I'm not sure if. So Julian is saying injury or an object that falls on something or someone. Something falling on something, that is not the definition of damage, right? It's not the action of something falling on something. Damage just means the physical harm that is the result at the end, right? That's damage. And damage can be anything. It doesn't have to be something falling. So it can be 2 cars that hit each other, right? The result is both cars will have some damage, right? So that means parts of the car that were physically harmed or yeah, right? So they don't look the way that they should anymore, right? Because of the damage. What about to harm? Is this only for people? So Rosa is asking, what about to harm? Is this only for people? I'm not sure what your what are you asking about exactly, Rosa? If you can give me an example of what you mean, or ask a different way. Patricia says broken. Damage does not mean broken, right? But something that is broken is damaged, right? I know that's a little that's a little weird to say. Think of it this way. If something is broken, usually that means, again, it depends. The problem is broken can also mean a few different things, right? So broken can mean something that is not working anymore. Broken can also mean that something is damaged, but it's still working. So the problem is it depends on the context, right? It really depends on what you are saying. Sometimes, yes, things will work. You can't say them that way, and sometimes not so much. Julian is saying, does damage and harm have anything in common? Yeah. So damage and harm, they're almost synonyms. If you damage something, you harm it, right? Oh, okay. So I see. This is what Rosa was asking about earlier, right? If we can use damage for people, is that what you meant, Rosa? I hope. Yes, some people say, yeah. Some people say. I would say it's more common to say I injured myself when you're talking about humans, right? So if you're talking about people or animals or live things, usually we say I injured myself. You can definitely say I harmed myself doing something. It's not common to say I damaged myself, but some people would say I damaged, and then you have to say the specific part that you damaged. So some people might say I damaged my shoulder, right? Or I damaged my my back, or I damaged my elbow joint, or I damaged my nerves, right? So something like that. Yes, people use damage in that way, but they're usually more specific. But it's very unusual to say I damaged myself, right? Or I damaged you. If you want to say just you or a pronoun or somebody's name or something like that, then it's more common to say injured or harmed. Paulo says the roof was destroyed by a tree. The cause of the damage was a hard storm. Excellent use of a lot of different vocabulary words that we did today, Paulo. Very good, very good. I damaged my limb. Yeah, right? So some people might say that. I damaged my limb. But again, it's more common to say injured, right? If you're talking about people. But damage is not wrong. Okay, next word. Destroy. All right, so destroy. Now, what's the difference between damage and destroy, right? So to destroy something means that you can't use it again. It's gone, right? It's completely damaged, right? So it's not just damaged but still working. It's you can't use it anymore, right? So like you can see in this house, the earthquake destroyed the home. The earthquake destroyed the home. So as you can see, this house is, well, nobody can use it anymore, right? Because there is no house almost. And that's what destroyed means, right? So you can damage something, or you can damage it to the point that you destroy it, right? But if it's destroyed, that means you can't use it anymore. Paulo says, I damaged. Yes, yes. Destroy means you can't use it anymore. Yes, exactly, Julian, right? So just like we said, to destroy means that something is unusable, right? Can't use it anymore. Okay, next word is direction or direction, right? So some people say direction with an I sound in the middle, and some people say direction. It really doesn't matter which one you say. Both of them are okay, right? So the direction of north, south, etc. What direction is the wind blowing? So very simply, and I'm sure most of you guys know this already, the direction of something means which way, right? So north, south, right? East and west. Is it east from the way that you guys are looking? You guys are looking at me this way, so north, south, east and west, right? Okay, so that's direction, right? Which direction should I walk to go to the beach? This direction, right? So that's what it means, just the way that something is towards. Julian says, One Direction. We do not talk about One Direction on this channel. I'm just kidding. If you like One Direction, you are totally okay to like it. Patricia says orientation. I'm going to, hold on, there's just a couple of questions coming in right now. Okay, so like this, I'm going to the west direction. Well, if usually we don't say the word direction after that, right? So if you're going to say which direction are you going in the question, the answer would just be west, right? Or north or south or east or whatever. We don't say I'm going the west direction or the blah 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 direction, right? It's just more common to say the direction itself, right? So north, west, east, or south. Oh, sorry, and back to Patricia. Patricia was asking orientation. Yes, orientation can be a sort of synonym for direction, right? But don't forget also orientation has some other meanings. But yes, one of the meanings is direction. All right, next word, disaster. The disaster killed many people. The disaster killed many people. So disaster very simply means something that happens, right? So an event that happens that that has a very bad or negative result or effect or impact on something, right? A disaster. So for example, it can be like this, right? It can be this huge fire. This huge fire was a disaster. That means something horrible, something really, really bad that happened. Accidents can be a disaster. A disaster can be somebody dying in your family, right? You can say, oh, we had a disaster last year when blah, 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 blah died. Whatever, right? So it depends on the person and what they think a disaster is, right? So, but that's what it means. A disaster is just a very bad, negative thing that happens, or something that happens and has a very bad or negative effect on something. So Julian says, like the disaster of World War II. Yeah, I would agree with that sentence. All right, next word is earthquake. So the earthquake shook our house. So earthquake very simply means this is a natural disaster, right? So this is what we call a natural disaster. So a disaster that is not controlled or made by man, right? Or human beings. So earthquake very simply is when the land or the ground, right, the earth, shakes and vibrates. And of course, there's a scale for it, right? So you can have very mild or very weak or low earthquakes, or you can have very strong earthquakes like in this picture. So in this picture, this is definitely a disaster because this earthquake almost destroyed this entire area, right? So that's an earthquake. So Japan, for example, Japan is very famous for having a lot of earthquakes, right? They have a lot of earthquakes in Japan. All right, to find out, when did you find out the news? So very simply, it means you discovered, right? So when you find out the news, when did you discover? When did you know about this, right? When did you find out the news? I found out the news yesterday, right? That means that's when I knew. That's when I discovered it. Okay, next, float. The broken trees floated in the water. So float is, you can think of it very simply as the opposite of the word sink. So sink is what? If I throw an object in a glass bucket of water or something, right? And it goes all the way down in the water, this is sink. So float is the opposite. If I throw something in the water and it stays on the surface, right, or on the top of the water, we call this floating, right? So the broken trees floated in the water, just like you see here, right? So it's not sinking, it's floating, right, on top of the water. Melinda says, hi everyone, sorry I am late. Don't worry about it, Melinda. We are happy that you came, right? So welcome to the class, no worries. Okay, next word. Let's see, what do we have? Flood. So flood is another type of natural disaster, right? So again, it means a disaster that happens naturally, right? So from nature, not because of human beings. So flood is very simply when you have water that goes higher than usually the street levels, right? So when it starts to go above the street curbs and everything, and it starts to make traveling or moving inside the city difficult, or sometimes if you have a very serious flood, it can be very dangerous. It can go above houses, right? So it depends on how strong it is. Sink is under the water. Yes, sink is under the water, and float is when you are above. Yes, that's it. All right, next word that we have is floor. So floor is what this man is sitting on, right? So floor is what you walk on, right? But floor is usually what the word that we use for the ground, but that's inside buildings, right? So I'm in this room right now. So if I stand up, right, I'll be standing on the floor, right? The floor of this room. So if you are inside some type of building, usually we say the floor, right? And that's what it is. So here it says, there were no more chairs, so I sat on the floor, right? No more chairs, so I sat on the floor. Patricia says story, which is S-T-O-R-E-Y, not S-T-O-R-Y. And that's a very good, it's a very good thing that you said that, Patricia, because no, it's not the same as floor, right? So this is from the housing vocabulary, which we did a few weeks ago, and we said that story means floor, but it's a different meaning for the word floor here. So story means, so for example, the studio that I am streaming the Smrt live stream from, this is on the 4th floor in the Canadian College building, right? Or on the 4th story. But the floor that we're talking about here is different, right? This floor just means the ground, right? The floor that you walk on, and that's it. It's not the same meaning as story, but that's it's good that you said that. Floor and ground, yeah, right? So I would say ground is a good synonym, not story. Okay, next word is force. Next word is force. So force, force can have a few different meanings, but for the meaning that we're talking about today, it says here, the force of the hurricane pushed the cars off of the road. The force of the hurricane pushed the cars off of the road. So what does it mean here? In this sentence, force means the strength or the power of the hurricane, right? So how much strength or how much power something has is how much force, right? We say. So the force of the hurricane pushed the cars off of the road. And that's it, right? So this is the meaning that we are talking about today. Force has a few other meanings, but the meaning that we're talking about today is the strength or the power of something, right? How much strength or how much power, how much force does something have? Rosa says the power. Yes, right? Just that, like, sorry, just like that. Okay, I think I need to take a drink. All right, next word is freezing. And freezing very simply means extremely, 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 right? Or very, very, very cold, right? It wasn't cold outside, it was freezing, right? So it's a very strong, very very sort of, when you want to emphasize, right? When you really want to emphasize how cold it is, right? It's extremely, extremely cold, right? So we say it's freezing. I forced my brother to pick up his toys. So Julian has a sentence for us. It says, I forced my brother to pick up his toys. First meaning a strong wind. Strong wind has another force to move a strong object. Yeah, that works, right? So that's it. So freezing is just another way of saying that it is very, 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 very cold, right? Extremely, extremely cold. As you can see in this picture, this person, I cannot see if it's a man or a woman, it's not very clear, but this person is freezing, right? It's very, very cold. Frightening. The sound of the storm outside is frightening. So what does frightening mean? So it comes from the word afraid, right? Or it's related to the word afraid. So if something is frightening, right? And in this case, frightening is an adjective. So it means it's something that makes you feel scared, right? Something that makes you feel scared, right? Or something that makes you feel fear. And that's what it is, right? If something is frightening, that's simply what it is. So just like the sentence, the sound of the storm outside was making me feel scared, right? So I can describe the sound as frightening. And that's it. Next word. Melinda likes the cute cat. Okay, that is a pretty looking cat. All right, next, but she's not as pretty as my cat. All right, next word. Frightened. So frightened again, right? This is an adjective in this case. Frightening, something that means you feel scared. Yes, Julian, that's correct. All right, so frightened, again, it's just a different variant of the same word, but it basically means the same thing, right? So the animals were frightened, so they ran away. That means they were scared, right? The animals were scared, so they ran away. Now, it's good to note that the difference is if I say, for example, if I say the same sentence, if I say the animals were frightening, that has a different meaning, right? It doesn't mean that the animals were scared. It means that the animals are the something that is making something else being scared, right? So if I say the animals were frightening, that means I'm scared of them. That means the animals are making me feel scared, right? But in this sentence, it says the animals were frightened. It means the animals are scared from something, right? So be careful, right? Frightening and frightened, yes, they're similar, but they're used a little bit differently. In the movie World War Z, everyone was frightened. Yes, very good, right? That's how you use frightened. Okay, to go off. Now, if you notice, next to the word go off, we have a few words, right? So alarm, bomb, or something like that. And that's simply how we use the word. So to go off, if you say my alarm went off at 6 a.m. today, right? So went off, the past, right? So go off, the past is went off. So my alarm went off at 6 a.m. today. It just means my alarm started, right? My alarm started making the noise that it's supposed to make. If I say the bomb went off at 2, right? It means, again, the bomb exploded at 2, right? And that's what it means, right? So to be fired, so it's common also to use with guns. The gun went off by accident, right? That means the gun fired by accident. And that's really it, right? So to go off, right? Alarms go off, bombs go off, guns go off. To explode, yes, it can mean to explode if you're talking about a bomb. Yep. All right, and ground. So the ground shook during the earthquake. The ground shook during the earthquake. So very simply, ground is just a solid surface of the earth, right? So when you are walking on the street, you are walking on the ground. When you go to a park, you can sit on the ground. Excuse me. If you are in a room, you can also sit on the ground. So remember, we said ground and floor are okay for a room, right? But we don't say floor if you're outside, right? So you can't walk in a park and say I'm walking on the floor, right? That doesn't work. Julian, so Julian has a question. He's saying, is go off and going off and getting off mean the same? Not exactly. There's some differences between them. So to go off is like I said, right? So the gun goes off or something goes off. Going off, it's similar to go off. Yes, it just depends on the sentence and how you're saying it. Getting off is different. Getting off is when you get pleasure or you get happiness from doing something, right? Whatever that something is. So for example, I really don't like, I don't like your manager because he gets off on being mean to people, right? So when he's mean to people, that makes him happy, right? So that he gets off on that, right? So something that gives you pleasure or happiness. Rosa is saying soil. Not exactly, Rosa, because soil is very specific, right? So soil is what you see in this picture, right? So soil is what we use to grow plants and trees or any kind of plant, basically, right? That's specifically what soil means. But I can be walking on the street and I say I'm on the ground, right? I can be walking somewhere that that the ground is made of rocks, for example, very rocky, right? But it's still the ground. Soil. When you say soil, most people think of this black, right? Usually black or very dark brown earth that we use to plant plants in. And that's it. All right, next word, harsh. It was difficult to live there during the harsh summers. It was much too hot and uncomfortable. It was difficult to live there during the harsh summers. It was much too hot and uncomfortable. So harsh has, again, it has a few meanings, right? So one meaning of harsh is when somebody is very mean to someone, but this is not the meaning that we're using here. The meaning of harsh that we want for today is something that is very difficult, right? Something that is very difficult and unpleasant to live in or with, right? So just like here, it was difficult to live there during the harsh summers, right? That means summer is so hot, it's so extreme that it is harsh, right? Okay. Next word, let's see what we have. Hill. That isn't tall enough to be a mountain, it's a hill. That isn't tall enough to be a mountain, it's a hill. So hill is it's an area of land that is, think of it like this. So a hill is an area of land that is higher than the land around it, but it's not big enough to be a mountain, right? So mountains are much, 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 much bigger than hills. But a hill is very similar because it's an area of land that is higher than the area of land around it, right? That's it. So that's a hill. So, but it's not a mountain. Mountains are much larger, much, much, much larger. Julian says it's harsh to live in Nevada due to hot weather. Yeah, that's fine. Low mountain. Patricia says a low mountain. Not really. Remember, it's not a mountain, right? I've heard a lot of people describe hills like that. It works if you're trying to explain it to somebody, but it's remember, it's not a mountain, right? It's very different. And it's very, very small, much smaller than mountains. Okay, next word that we have is hit. And hit in our vocabulary today is a verb, right? So storm. Hurricanes hit the island almost every year, right? Hurricanes hit the island almost every year. So very simply, it means to attack, right? So think of it like that, right? So if I say an earthquake hits the island, that means you can think of it as it attacked the island, or you can think of it as it reached the islands, right? Or you can think of it as Julian says a rainstorm hit yesterday. Yes, right, just like that. A rainstorm hit yesterday. So just like the example, it says hurricanes hit the island almost every year, right? That means they come every year, right? They hit the island, right? They come every year, or they attack the island every year. They appear every year. All these meanings sort of work here. So yeah, it's very common when we use it with forces of nature, right? So storms, earthquakes, hurricanes, things like that. Patricia says hit means beat. Yes, but that's not the meaning that we want here, right? Very good. All right, next word that we have is hurricane. So hurricane, a hurricane, again, it's a kind of storm, right? So it's a very big, very violent, very aggressive storm. Usually a hurricane is known for having very high speed wind, right? So that's usually what a hurricane is. Now, a lot of people sometimes get mixed up between a hurricane and a typhoon, and really there is no difference. They're both the same thing. It's just hurricanes is what we call these types of storms, usually in the Atlantic, I think, and somewhere near the Pacific Ocean. And typhoons is more in the Indian Ocean and part of the Pacific Ocean over there. Why? I really don't know. I have no idea why they do that, but it's the same thing. It's just they have different names for it depending on which part or which area of the world you are in. And that's it. Patricia says a tornado. No, a hurricane is not a tornado. A tornado is what we also sometimes call a twister, right? So it's a very usually very strong winds that move in a circle kind of motion, right? And you can see the dust and the things going around in the same spot. Hurricanes usually come from the sea, right? They usually come from the sea. That's why, because of the strong winds, and they bring the seawater with it. No, so yeah, a few more people are saying tornado. No, guys, right? Tornado is different. A tornado is not the same as a hurricane. So one more time. A hurricane is a very strong storm that has extremely high winds, right? And usually it comes from the sea or the ocean. A tornado is when there's only very strong winds that go around in a circle, right? And usually you can see dust from the floor, or if it's a very strong tornado, it can destroy some houses and pick up things and move them around in the same place, right? So that's usually a tornado, right? So for example, if I go tornado, this, right? So this is a tornado, right? And most tornadoes don't happen near the sea, right? That's it. Okay, so next word is interrupt. Julian says interrupt is when something happens to stop your sentence. Yes, but I would say not just your sentence, to make you stop whatever you are doing, right? So interrupt very simply means to stop something from happening or continuing the way that it should, right? So for example, if I am talking to you guys right now, and then somebody walks into the room and stops me from what I'm doing because they want something or they're asking something, they are interrupting me, right? Because I have to stop what I'm originally doing. And that's it, right? So please close the door. I don't want anyone to interrupt this meeting, right? I don't want anybody come in and stop it or pause it for some time. Very good. Next, kite. I love to fly my kite at the park on windy days. So very simply, a kite is this thing that you see in the picture, and the words are hiding it. So let's see what kites look like. So there are some very cool kites out there. So this is it, right? So this is your very basic, very traditional kite. And of course, there are some very interesting kites out there. But that's it, right? This is what a kite is. Stop doing something. Yes. Yeah, that's it, right? To interrupt is when you stop someone from something that they were doing, right? Okay, land. This land is owned by the sorry, this land is owned by the city. Julian says, I interrupted Melinda while she was eating her. Yes, very good. That's it, right? While she was eating. Okay, so land very simply means what? Land means a surface of the earth that is not the sea, right? So anything on earth that is not sea or water is called land. And usually we say land to things that are owned, right, by government and people for specific purposes, for example. So let's say, for example, you own some land, right? That means you have an area, right, of earth that belongs to you, and you can do whatever you want on it. Build a house, plant it, make a farm, whatever it is that you want, right? So you would say, I own some land. You would not say, I own ground, right? That doesn't work here. So if you're talking about land in the sense that it's there for specific purposes or something that you own or something that has value, then usually we say land. And yes, land means ground that has no water. Yes, that's also what land is. Landslide. So landslide, this sounds like a very cool and fun activity to do, but unfortunately it's not. It's it's very dangerous, and I hope that none of you experience a landslide. So landslide very simply means when you have some piece of an area of land that slides, right? So it moves out of its place. Now, this is not because of an earthquake, right? So don't confuse a landslide with an earthquake. Landslides just happen sometimes by themselves, right? So maybe the area was not stable, or the area was not was affected maybe by something, or by some rain or some things that happened, right? And it causes a landslide. So again, right, for example, like this, right? So all of these are pictures of landslides. So as you can see, right, in this picture here, this is the road originally, and this used to be sort of like a little cliff, and a small part of this cliff suddenly slid, right? It suddenly slid down the mountain. So that's why we call it the landslide, because that's what happens. The land slides, right, down to the ground. Like a big snowball that rolls down the mountain. Yes, but a landslide that happens in snow has a different name, right? That's called an avalanche. An avalanche. That's basically a landslide, but with snow, right? Not with land. Measure. You can measure the age of a tree by counting its rings. So what is to measure? To measure very simply means to find out, right, the units of something that tells you about its scale, right? So, for example, if I have this mug, right, or this cup of mine that I have some coffee in, and I want to know how tall, right, is my mug, right? What is the length of this area? So what do you do to find out? You measure it, right? So whatever, you bring a ruler or you bring a measuring tape or something like that to find out the measurement that you want. So that's to measure, right? To find out usually the dimensions, we say, of something, right? Natural. Existing in nature and not produced or caused by people. So actually, this is the definition of natural. This is not an example sentence. This is what natural means, right? So very simply, like the sentence says, natural is something that is already there in nature, right? And it's not produced or it's not caused by people, right? So it was made by nature, right? Natural. Julian says measure is to find the centimeters of an object. Yeah, right? Centimeters or kilometers or meters or whatever, right? There's many different kinds of measurements. But yes, you are right. Landslide is a common disaster in Brazil, especially in the summertime. So sad. Oh, Paulo, be careful, man. Yes, every country has its own things, right? So we talked about Japan being earthquakes are very common in Japan. Landslides are common in Brazil now, I found out. And yeah, hurricanes, for example, are also very common in the United States. Okay, next word. Let's try to get rid of this. Nature. So I want to live close to nature. So nature is the natural world that surrounds us or that we live in, right? So some people call it Mother Nature, right? It's very common for many people to call it Mother Nature. But yeah, nature is very simply the natural world that we live in, right? That we exist in. So again, everything that is not made by man is part of nature. Next word. I don't know why I keep saying that like that. But anyway, next word. Pass by. I was passing by, so I thought I would see if you were home. A flood can create a landslide. Yes, Patricia, you are right. A flood definitely can create a landslide. Yeah. Okay, so to pass by. Pass by is it's a phrasal verb, right? So what does it mean? Very simply, passing by is when something happens without affecting something or somebody else, right? It's as simple as that. So very simply, if I say I was passing by down Robson Street yesterday, very simply means I was walking in the area, right? I didn't have any intention really to do something specific or affect anyone or affect anything. And that's what it means, right? So to pass by. So for example, I was passing by, so I thought I would see if you were home, right? So the intention wasn't for me to come home. I wasn't specifically coming to see you. I was just passing by, right? With no intention to have any sort of effect. But then I thought about, hey, why not see if you were home? Now, having said that, it's also important to say that a lot of people use pass by also differently. So for example, somebody, let's say you're talking to a friend on a phone, and I say, hey, what are you doing today? And I say, nothing. So I say, okay, I might pass by. Now, in this sense, it's not really not having an effect, because I'm using I might pass by to mean or to have the same meaning as the word visit, right? I might pass by later, so I might visit later. So it's very common. A lot of people do use it in this way also. So it's good to know both. All right, let's see what our next word is. I think we are almost done. We're in the P's now. All right, next word is prepare. And what do we have? It says, before I went to bed last night, I prepared my lunch for today. So before I went to bed last night, I prepared my lunch for today. So very simply, to prepare something means to make it ready, right? To get something ready for something or for a next step or a next stage, right? Prepare. So that's what you did, right? Before you went to bed last night, I made sure that my lunch was ready for today, right? So I prepared my lunch for today. And that's it. That's simply what prepare means. To rebuild. Now, I'm sure a lot of you know this out there. Usually when we see the RE in the beginning of any word in English, most of the time, 99%, it means that something is happening again, right? So rebuild. After the storm, we had to rebuild our home. there was so much damage. So very simply, and I'm sure all of you can guess, rebuild means to build again. And that's it, right? To build again. Paolo is saying, does pass by mean to cross something without paying attention? Yeah, you can say that that was happening, right? So just like the example that I said, hey, did you see I was passing by down the road, but I wouldn't say not paying attention. It just means that you did not have the intention to go and do something specific, right? That's really what I mean by the paying attention part. It just means that you did not mean to go there to do a specific activity or job or task or something, right? You're just passing by, right? It means you're just walking along, right, for no reason. The people had to rebuild their roof after it was damaged. Yes, that is good. Okay, let's look at the next word. Rescue. The man rescued the lost girl. The man rescued the lost girl. So rescue is pretty simple. Rescue just means to save somebody, right? So the man rescued the lost girl, right? So she was in trouble, right? So he saved her, right? He rescued her. And that's pretty much it, really. That's what rescue is, right? So to save somebody from a dangerous or harmful situation or a negative situation that they don't want to be in, to rescue. The Richter scale, right? The Richter scale. So Richter scale, very simply, is what we use to measure, right, how strong an earthquake is. So the earthquake measured 6.5 on the Richter scale, and 6.5 is a strong earthquake, right? So 6.5 is pretty strong. Patricia says rescue means to survive. No, survive means you experienced something, but you managed to not die, or you managed to not be affected negatively, right? That's what survive means, right? Rescue, I would say, like I said, it means more to save, right? To save. So for example, let's say I'm walking and I see I don't know, I see a cat, and the cat is up in a tree and it's scared, right? It's frightened. It doesn't want to come down. So I try to help it, right, and get it down. So I rescued the cat, right? So that's rescuing, to save. Okay, next word is roof, and I think we talked about this when we talked about the housing vocabulary. So roof, very simply, is this part of the building, right? So the top part of the building that is exposed to the sky. And please don't confuse roof with ceiling, right? Ceiling is what is inside of a room or a building, and a roof is what's on the outside, right? So that's they're not the same thing. Okay, next word. We're almost done, you guys. This vocabulary classes always go a bit longer than I planned, but it's good. You guys have a lot of questions, and you're giving me a lot of good answers here. If a girl is rescued, she may survive. Yes, right? So that's a correct way of using survive and rescue both in the same sentence. Very good. So scream, next word is scream. I heard a loud scream when I saw the wave. I heard a loud scream. So scream is is the sound that people make when sometimes they're very scared. So it's very famous. You can hear a lot of people screaming in horror movies, right? So movies that are scary, right? Usually you see a lot of people screaming, right? So it's a very high-pitched, loud scream, right? You don't say anything when you're screaming. You just make a sound, sort of. That's a scream. So yeah, very, very common in horror movies. A lot of people scream when they're scared in horror movies, right? Okay, next word is to shake. Why is the table shaking? So shaking, right, is when something keeps sort of moving like this, right? When something is shaking. So sometimes people, Unfortunately, some people who have some kind of diseases, they shake like that, right? Or when an earthquake happens, you can say that the room or the things inside your room, the table, something like that, all the things are shaking. This is basically what shaking means. Shout. Now, why are you shouting? Now, notice we talked about scream, and now we're saying shout. Now, scream and shout are not the same thing, right? To shout very simply means when you speak in a much louder voice than normal. And not just than normal. Usually, it's the kind of voice that people use when they are very, very angry and probably fighting with each other, right? So when you shout, you still speak. You say words that people will understand, but you are saying them in a very high voice and very aggressively, right? This is shouting. Screaming, you're not saying anything. Screaming is just one long but it's very right? Like you, for a very long time, you scream, and it's usually when you're scared, right? Not when you're angry. Although some people do use scream in a similar way to shout. Some people will say, "Don't scream at me," right? So sometimes, yeah, sometimes people will also use it like that. Don't scream at me. So it depends on the context, really. Patricia says to talk loudly. Yeah. Karim, can you delete those texts from Grace? I don't know what you guys are talking about. Oh, okay. I see what you're talking about.
Here. Let me do something quick.
Yeah, I deleted it.
Yeah, I just want to make my...
Okay. All right, guys. Yeah, sorry about that. It's just because, yeah, Rosa was not moderating today. So I deleted it, and Julian is actually here now, so he'll take care of that now. But thanks for pointing that out for me. Thank you. Yeah, let's try to keep it clean here, you guys, please. Okay, next. Storm. So there is a storm coming. Can you see the dark clouds? There is a storm coming. Can you see the dark clouds? So storm, very simply, is extremely bad weather, right? And there are many different types of storms that can happen. So you can have a lightning storm. You can have a hurricane is a kind of storm, right? But that's basically it, right? So a storm is very bad weather, usually with strong wind or rain or something like that, right? So weather that is not nice, not enjoyable. Usually people don't like storms. Okay, next word is a tsunami, right? A tsunami. So it says a tsunami is a dangerous and large wave. So as you can see in this picture, right, there's a car here, and the car looks very tiny in this huge wave, right? So that's a tsunami, right? So a tsunami is a dangerous and a very large wave, right? So it's so dangerous that if it's a really big tsunami, it can do a lot of damage, sometimes even destroy some coastal cities. And that's it. That's a tsunami. All right, next word, typhoon. So remember I said hurricane and typhoon are basically the same word. It just depends on which part of the world you are in. You would say typhoon, or if you are in the other part of the world, you would say hurricane, right? And that's it. It's exactly the same thing. Underwater. All right, so it says people have been searching for the underwater city of Atlantis for years. So notice that underwater here is an adjective, right? So underwater can be an adjective, and it can also be an adverb. So people have been searching for the underwater city of Atlantis for years. So as an adjective, it just very simply means you're describing that the city is not on land, it's underwater, right? So it's somewhere in the sea, right? Below the surface of the water. And that's very simply what it means. Wall, the walls failed to stop the wave. So I'm sure you guys know what a wall is. I am positive that you guys know what a wall is. It's what is in this picture, right? So this is a wall. All our houses have walls. I am in a room now because I have walls around me. That's why we call it a room, right? So that's a word. Oh, sorry, that's what the word means. Rosa saying, Julian, are you the guy that we just saw? Yes, that was Julian, Rosa. And the last word for today is wave. So no, it's not wave like bye, right? Like I'm doing right now. It's like in the picture. So as you can see, this is a wave, right? So people go to the beach, especially if you are a surfer, right? This is why you usually go to the beach, because you are looking for awesome waves so that you can surf on them. So the waves, and like we said, a tsunami is basically a very large and very dangerous wave. And that's it. This is what a wave is. And that's it, you guys. We made it to the end. So very good. So I'll do a couple of exercises with you guys, and then I will let you go. So let's get straight to it, so we don't waste much time here. So pretty simple. I'm just going to give you some fill in the blanks, right? So try to the best of your abilities to put in some words from the vocabulary that we did today. So I'll leave this up for the screen for you, and try as much as you can to fill in the blanks. So I'll be back in a minute. I really don't think you need more time than that. And yeah, so I'll see you in a minute, you guys. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Julian. Sorry, I didn't notice that. All right, you guys can hear me now, right? Okay. All right, so I'm just going to repeat the answers. Let me sign in here so I can. Okay, sound is back. Sound is back. Thank you for thanks for telling me, Julian. All right, so very quick again. I was saying that most of you guys got the first one correct. So very very well done on that. And the answer was storm. So let me just make a copy here so I can type it in and you guys can see the answers. And there we go. So the first one is storm, right? So dark clouds usually mean a storm. Now for B, what I was saying was a lot of people were going from landslide and earthquake, right? So a lot of people said the landslide destroyed the houses, and half of you said the earthquake. The answer that I was looking for was landslide because of the side of the mountain. But if we are being real, right, I don't see why an earthquake can't also be the answer, right? So I will accept both. If you said landslide, that's okay, and if you said earthquake, that's also okay. Paolo has to go now. Thank you, Paolo, for staying till the end. I'll see you next week. Have a good day. So yeah, so if you said landslide or earthquake, both answers are okay. Very good. C says, I was so something when I saw that tsunami coming. I was so something when I saw the tsunami coming. And a lot of people said frightened, 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 frightened. Very good. Excellent. Because I wanted to see if you guys were going to say frightened or frightening. But you got it right, right? So use the correct one. Very good. Next one is, I thought I was going to die, but a man something me, right? So I thought I was going to die, but a man something me. And everybody here said rescued, 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 rescued. Very good. That's it. You guys are killing it today, which is excellent. Very nice. And I think that's pretty much it. So I don't want to drag on with this class too long. It's already a long class because of the vocabulary ones usually are a bit longer. So I'll end it up here. However, I am going to do something different with you guys this week. So I am going to give you 2 links. And these 2 links will allow you to go and practice and answer some questions about the vocabulary that we did today, right? So if you want to practice and you want to sort of just, play around a bit with the vocabulary, I'm going to give you 2 links for those websites. I'll put the links in the chat here, so you guys can get the links now, and I'll also put the links in the comment section below this video, because I honestly did not tell Julian about these links today, so he did not know about them. But on the new channel now, I can sort of control and add some things on the description. So I'll also put the links in the description so you guys can see them later. So here they are. I'm pasting them in the chat now. You guys can go to these 2 links, and you will find some cool exercises, sort of, and things like that to do with the vocabulary that we did today, right? So. So yeah, so that was our vocabulary lesson for this week. So remember, you guys, from now on, it's on this channel, right? So my channel, Smart English with Karim. Please subscribe to me over there. So yeah, come and join my tribe. And as you can see, Sean has 189 subscribers down there, and I want to destroy that number. So I know that we can do it, right? So let's surpass Sean's 189 subscribers, please. We are already doing very, very well. So 83 subscribers in a week is not bad at all. But yeah, I told Sean that I'm gonna get more than him. So don't make me look like I can't back up what I say. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. So please don't forget, check out my other YouTube channel. It's called Food AF. The link is in the description below. And this week's movie quote that I will say to you guys. Julian says movie quote. Yeah, don't forget, man. I didn't forget. Don't worry. I'm going to tell you the movie quote. So here is the movie quote. I wrote it so you guys can also see it while I'm saying it. And until next week, please comment in the comment section below and tell me what movie is this from. So this is the quote. It says, "Whose motorcycle is this?" "It's a chopper, baby." "Whose chopper is this?" "It's Zed's." "Who's Zed?" "Zed's dead, baby. Zed's dead." Okay, and that's it. So please try to tell me what movie was this from for next week, and I'll see you guys. So please don't forget, if you like what we do on this channel, hit that subscribe button, like my videos. Please don't forget to subscribe to Smrt too. Share our videos, comment down below, and that's pretty much it. So I'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Good morning, good evening, and good night. Yeah, and I'll see you guys next Wednesday. Thank you.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred